Police officers recovering after possibly inhaling an unknown substance. Atlanta News First Chelsea Beimfohr is live tonight at the Smyrna Police Department. Chelsea, investigators blame this on a man who delivered some paperwork there to police headquarters.
Yeah, Blair, an arrest warrant says that man walked through the front doors here at the police station straight into the lobby with a small stack of papers to be delivered to the police chief. He handed them to two officers, but before they could make it to the chief, those two officers say they started to feel like they couldn't breathe.
I feel terrible for those officers and their families.
Two Smyrna police officers hospitalized this week after possibly being exposed to a dangerous substance dropped off by a civilian at police headquarters.
It's stunning for the city of Smyrna because it's a small town.
According to a Cobb County arrest warrant, 51-year-old Little Stone came to the police station Tuesday, recording on a tablet while he spoke with a pair of officers about Governor Brian Kemp and other members of the Smyrna Police Department. The document says Stone asked the officers for the chief's business card and then asked them to deliver some paperwork to the chief. Minutes after grabbing the pieces of paper, the warrant says the officers started feeling dizzy and were having a hard time breathing. They were rushed to the hospital.
They're here to protect and serve. And for somebody to have a confidence to come into a building like that and still do it, it's devastating.
Stone is facing 2 counts of aggravated assault of a police officer. The FBI confirms they're assisting Smyrna police by running tests on the paperwork to determine if and what kind of substance the documents were laced with.
I personally have a good relationship with the police department here. They do a great job, and so you really hate to hear something like that.
And the Smyrna Police Department confirms their 2 officers are out of the hospital tonight and recovering. They did decline to do an interview with us today on camera. There's still a lot of unanswered questions surrounding this case. We hope to follow this continuing into next week. Reporting live from the Smyrna Police Department, Chelsea Beimfohr, Atlanta News First.